Thanks so much for tuning in to my new video on my new channel. I literally tried to adjust it. I've had this slightly turned a bit, and it's been angled for each of my freaking live sessions. Alright, so in this one I'm going to be giving you guys some fun legal insight. So if you guys haven't had a chance yet to check out our DKHLegalAid website, you can officially go through and book legal consultations to gain any counsel or guidance you may need on any legal aspect, ranging from, I've studied juvenile case procedures and laws pertaining towards that aspect, as well as legal parameters for most things that would fall within the categories of misdemeanors, felony offenses, and I've also freaking studied a tad bit on the topic for this video, which pertains towards custody and parental rights. So that'll be our major basis for this video. My name is L.L.C. I am the owner of DKH, the brand section, or should I say parent company to DKH. I'm super excited to bring you guys legal insight. I just met somebody. I popped up for a brand ambassador days ago, and it was freaking great. I had a lot of fun conducting the event. We ended up doing a sampling search for this new freaking we were doing the new seasonal flavors of ice cream. It was a Target sponsored event, so it was super fun. I literally always love popping up there because the atmosphere is super great, it's welcoming, and it's just I don't know what's not to freaking love about Target overall. And we were doing ice cream sundaes, so it was super fun. We freaking had the whipped cream freaking toppings. We did the cinnamon toast crunch tacos shell sets, and then we filled it with the freaking ice cream. Let everybody pick their toppings, pick their ice cream flavors, and literally just have fun throughout the entire thing. And it was really great. And while concluding the event and heading home, I was able to meet someone, and she was a freaking super just adorable soul, and we ended up connecting and kind of hitting off a tad bit of freaking great acquaintanceship. I would say friendship, but I literally hate to throw in the friendship wrench, and then it literally kind of backfires, especially when trying to stick to the business savvy flow. But it's been really have a bunch of similarities in our freaking views and aspects within our lives, and there was an aspect that was taking place that I could actually relate towards. It was a custody battle, and I've kind of dealt with a lot of people that I've met throughout my life that have always kind of when pursuing relationships, we typically go for the ideal. This is going to be it's going to be my dream relationship. This is my dream partner. We'll have the dream life. And although our relationships can carry on and take place over a series of years, there's still the downside of the relationships that can take place, such as divorce, drawn out custody battles, disputes amongst you and your partners that can take place in many different forms. People go through a series of verbal abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, which kind of combines each of those aspects into one, where it kind of takes a toll on your mental psyche. And in doing so, it kind of can either make or break a relationship. But in going through those battles, it teaches you to not only reflect later in life, but to also reflect in situations that may kind of fall within that parameter of toxicity, and it teaches you to kind of be mindful later in life. So I got the chance to meet this amazingly bubbly person and gain some insight, and we were talking on basis of what's going on in life, what are your aspirations, and what do you do? And I was well, I am a college student. I am currently working on completing my bachelor's in public administration. I've recently completed my associates in criminal justice. I freaking literally love it. It's freaking awesome. I've been modeling for a freaking decade now. I own my own clothing brand. It's my freaking baby. I'm working on a new collection for it. You my freaking daily updates and breakdowns of progress in life. touching base and connecting, and then she was like, I freaking model also, and I was like, oh, that's freaking great. I'm like super stoked. I love meeting like other people that work within the entertainment industry, to be able to connect with other collaborators and artists and just bring a project to life. It's just super fun in itself. So we've been working on planning like a shoot to do together, and I'm super freaking sad because I literally wanted to do like a literal like photo slash shoot, but I'm like, I freaking left my tripod back in Chicago as well as my freaking camera, so I literally can't do like any of my own like personal freaking like mini shoots. Phone tripod, and I have my freaking like phones, and I'm like, we can always like take like cute pics that way, but it's always more fun to literally have that feeling of it being like a literal shoot and having like your freaking like your actual like camera freaking set, and then if you have your phone, like having the freaking like specialized lenses to really like capture that flow that you want with the picture always makes it more fun, and it always kind of brings it more so towards that photographic feel of it being that essence of a shoot. We've been touching base over the past few days, and she's been filling me in on what's been going on in her life with her ex-husband, and in doing so, I've been sharing insight that I've gained towards custody battles and the legal parameters that fall within for each partner within the custody battle. And luckily, they've gone through the entire court spiel of deciding who would be the custodial parent, who will be the non-custodial parent, and they've set the parameters to have an agreement that is set more towards, it's like you guys have to literally like check my notes. I was gonna like breeze through while freaking doing the freaking case breakdown, but I'll kind of like breeze through in a brief bit after I get past the introductory phase for this. So let's see. I literally copied over every freaking thing in my freaking notes except for. So one sec, you guys, I'm gonna pull it up and then touch base on that a tad. But she has been made the custodial parent, and she is currently in a situation with a not with her former partner, her ex-husband, who is technically the non-custodial parent. And the reason that I had to literally state technically the non-custodial parent is because he kind of has been setting a basis within the relationship outside of the court, where he kind of has been trying to take on the role of a custodial parent also. And it's been causing a bit of a freaking snag and a lot of drama that's kind of like more of like the behind the scenes like mind flow drama, where you kind of like mess with your partner's freaking mind and you kind of like take advantage of like aspects that they may not be aware of, which is kind of what inspired me to do this video, to kind of encourage other parents to remember to like do your research. And although you'll be filled in on most of the parameters during the court hearings, and the judge will try to set the main basis for everything that you need to understand, and lawyers can also assist with, you know, providing guidance. It's always great to do your own research and read extensively so you fully understand everything that you're getting yourself into. And then aside from that, understanding your rights within the process. Okay, so they have a reasonable visitation schedule where outside of the court setting, like or in the off chance that it may be a fixed visitation schedule, I'm going to set this like major basis of the outline for this video to kind of follow the parameters of the ideal reasonable visitation plan. So in a reasonable visitation plan, instead of you having the court mandated set schedule, you are able to create a plan with your partner. And this is often for people that kind of like have no bad blood with their partner. It's kind of more of a set agreement where we kind of are handling this in court to set the legal parameters, to handle the guidelines such as, child support. I would rather not cause a strain on a relationship and, like fight with you about, gaining the funds necessary to provide for a child. I would rather not kind of have it not set on the book. So it's just an agreement of, he said, she said, but then in the end, it's like, was there any clarification actually provided? And what is the backing for any of this? So you often have to get it on the books to have the coverage for both parties involved and to also ensure that the child is given everything that they need to be provided. So in creating reasonable visitation plans, you kind of are able to and partners to create a guided plan. It's something where you guys can make a conducive plan that's set towards, let's say you are the custodial parent and you're like, I'm okay with you seeing our kid whenever, you can pick up our kid after school and then, drop off our kid at school, the following day and, pick up our kid, every weekend or every other weekend. Like, we'll have the flexibility in the schedule. It all depends on, what's going on in our personal life, what are the requirements at home, and, what you can actually do as a non-custodial parent. That way there isn't that overbearing aspect of, you have to be here this weekend, it's your weekend, it's the freaking court appointed order. And then in doing so, I also gained some insight while doing some research. The drawbacks to not following the freaking guidelines as a non-custodial parent are as followed. You can lose access, or should I say literally lose your driver's license and driving privileges. You can face fines, and you can also be charged and sentenced to jail time and avoiding to pay your child support fees and not obtaining to your obligations as the non-custodial parent, which is freaking in itself something to be mindful of when going through custody battles. You have to be mindful of the fact that you are a parent and that these proceedings are not set to be something to kind of be taken lightly. You are literally set within a courtroom where you are being literally, to just make it kind of more interesting, you're being sentenced to hold up your rights as a parent. You are obligated to follow through on each aspect that is outlined and to adhere to what you are fighting for, because the major thing that makes a custody battle is the fight for the right to literally have a say in how you raise your child, how active you will be in your child's life, and in most cases it's not really up to the parents or the biased view of a judge to literally pick, this parent should be the custodial parent, this parent should be the non-custodial parent, or you guys have to have joint custody because I don't want it to be any other way. That's what's just going to be the rule. It's literally set on the basis of what will be in the child's best needs and what will be in the best needs would be the best freaking way to break it down. I want to say what would be in the best interest for everyone overall, but it's overall what is the sense of what will be in the best needs of the child. Reasonable visitation plan, as you were able to work with your partner to create a guided plan, And while initially telling me her story, it seemed as though it might have been something more geared towards a reasonable visitation plan because the set like a bit like scattered. It was like a kind of like beginning of the week, middle of the week, end of the week, into the weekend kind of thing. But it's like that wasn't like the set schedule. That's just like the typical schedule that they agreed upon. So I was like, that sounds more like a reasonable visitation plan rather than a fixed visitation plan because oh gosh, hiccups. If it was a fixed visitation plan, it would kind of set the basis for the other parent being the custodial parent, but she's the parent that typically has the child that receives child support for said child. So, in doing so, whenever trying to like literally figure out the basis of who is the custodial parent when you don't want to ask too many questions, if child support is ever brought up, the one receiving the child support is the custodial parent. So in this case, she is the custodial parent, and with the visitation schedule being set for the other parent to have, let's say, custody of the child for 5 out of the 7 days within the week, basis of the other parent being like the more of the custodial parent, but the schedule was a reasonable visitation schedule, meaning for the other parent to pop in and literally go, I want to, borrow my kid for a few days and literally just have fun and, set these to be like, I want to fall within the parameters of my visitation days that we've agreed upon. So she added in the flexibility for like the beginning of the week, the middle of the week, and the entire weekend, starting on like freaking like Friday, the freaking like typical, this is my weekend flow after work and school kind of vibe. That's the day that also fell within the parameters. So it includes 5 days out of the freaking week. But those are the 5 days that he is able to pop up and, be the for that period. Now, the major freaking drawback in their scheduling plan, which was kind of more so not as like a drawback per se, but kind of more geared towards, as I stated to you guys, the manipulation that was kind of added and her not understanding her rights. He's kind of placed the belief upon her that, and I know you guys have heard this before in like custody battles. If you've ever been through one, or if you know anybody who's like going through one, or you've like been in like the midst to like kind of like set the gist of understanding the flow, you've seen or even in TV shows or movies, you've seen, I'm not playing any of that. Bring my child to me. Like it's not a freaking if, ands, or but. It's not a, you want to do this, you want to do that. No, bring my child to me. As the custodial parent, you have no legal obligation to bring your child to the non-custodial parent. It is the obligation of the non-custodial parent to see and to make plans to actually transport, their child from your home to their home, or from, let's see, from your home to wherever they have set plans for the day. And you, as the custodial parent, set the basis for everything that you are or are not okay with. And the rights of the custodial parent are, oh gosh, see if I can find them because they're pretty freaking great. It literally is like an entire outline of everything that you probably would not think that you have a right to actually oversee, but you actually have legal parameters to control these aspects of what you are okay with and what you are not okay with within your child's life, as you are dealing with another parent who will try to control the exact same aspects of your child's life, but with you being the parent who takes care of your child on a daily basis, there are the guidelines and the boundaries that are set by the court to ensure that there are no snags and to also limit the amount of fights that may take place within your custody setting, or should I say your custody parameters. Is the legal guardian primarily responsible for a child's care and upbringing. This role involves providing for the child's day-to-day needs, including housing, food, clothing, education, and healthcare. Meaning, you are the custodial parent who handles all the day-to-day essentials and needs of the child. You are providing the housing, you are providing food, you are providing clothing, and in child support situations, most of those aspects stated so far are the major things that lead to the obligation to pay towards your child's upbringing, their care, their needs, and all essentials that will need to be covered throughout the life of that child. And in setting the child support amounts, it's not going to be something where you literally just pop up and you're like, I want freaking I want $5 million from my kid for child support. It's one of those things where you set the freaking basis for overtime and you're like, judge, go get him, go get my money over and over again. It's kind of one of those things where your finances are looked upon and the financial obligations and what the non-custodial parent is also able to actually contribute are the major factors that determine the child support amount. And in doing so, a guided plan has to be made as the custodial parent as to how to allocate the funds. Also tasked with controlling parameters such as education and healthcare. So you will be controlling, where your child goes to school, what your child studies, and how your child's upbringing will overall be set in place within your home environment. And for aspects outside of the home environment, they must fall within the parameters of the guidelines that you've set for your child's life. So the non-custodial parent has no control over those aspects, but the non-custodial parent has the right to be informed of any aspect and changes that you may set to be the guidelines for your child's life. Healthcare aspects such as doctor visits, primary care physicians, orthodontist care, any emergency that may take place, those fall within the parameters of the aspects of your child's life that you are in control of, that the non-custodial parent, again, has the right to be informed of, but that you overall will set the basis and control. The custodial parent's rights also include the authority to make major decisions on behalf of the child, as pertaining towards if your child needs psychiatric care, if your child needs to see a psychologist, if your child needs to make if your child is set to make any major decisions that require the judgment and final decision of the parent, somebody who is 18 years of age or older, you will set the basis and control those aspects. You will make the final decision pertaining towards all aspects that fall within that parameter, and the non-custodial parent will have no legal bearings over that. So in a lot of TV shows, you see how there are the kids who have the separate freaking lives with their parents, and they're we have joint custody, so it's we both have an equal say. And then there are other types of custody sets where it's kind of what should I say, to not even just add that aspect and completely see beyond the major flow. So, in joint custody, both parents share the right and responsibility to make decisions, or when each parent has significant periods of physical custody. So, in joint custody settings, you have the right as as the mother or father, or the mother and mother to make the choices in either household as to what aspects of your child's life you will have a say of in a case where you have the primary custody and you share the rights to, visitation with the non-custodial parent. You are allowing them to visit, schedule events and time frames to see their child, to spend time with their child, and to take a part in their life, but you overall control major aspects of that child's life. A custodial parent's rights and responsibilities extend beyond daily care. Custodial parents have the right to make decisions about the child's primary residence, meaning their home location, school enrollment, again, where they will be enrolled, where they will, let's see, school, where they will go to school, let's see, out, and home care needs. You control the aspects of your child's life. So if you are in a freaking relationship with a partner who kind of wants to bring your child into a different religious setting and expects your child to kind of follow those parameters while with them, that goes against the parameters of the religious guidelines that you set forth for your child. So as the custodial parent, you can kind of literally go, that's a violation of our agreement. I am a strict Catholic, and when my daughter is home and in our home setting, that is the religious faith that we practice. You cannot remove my child from our home setting and then bring them to another location and I wouldn't even say expect or attempt or try to get my child to practice another faith. It is something that is not allowed. It's not something that it's like granted within the parameters of, the non-custodial parents' right. You do not have the right to control your child's religious views or any aspect of that child's life pertaining towards cultural beliefs and religious stances. That is the right of the custodial parent. So if there are any cases in which anything as an emergency situation, control those aspects and have a say in each aspect pertaining towards your child. As you are the technical, you still have like the overall parental freaking like flow, but you are the parent with the say in each of those situations. So you have the single-minded parental control over the aspects of your child's life, and then again, your non-custodial freaking partner, or should I say your non-custodial ex-partner, or as a non-custodial parent, your rights still fall within the parameters of, having that say of requesting, to be updated and informed. You have the right to be informed, but you don't have a right to a say. Now, I'm going to do a brief kind of like read through of the rights and responsibilities of non-custodial parents, and kind of like do like a freaking decent spew for this one. It's about a paragraph long, so I can kind of just read through this for but it'll probably like take a minute. Rights and responsibilities of non-custodial parents. A non-custodial parent does not have primary physical custody of the child. However, they may not be involved in the child's daily care. A non-custodial parent's rights and responsibilities may include visitation. Non-custodial parents are typically granted visitation rights, which can be supervised or unsupervised depending on the circumstances. Non-custodial parents have the right to be informed about their child's education, health, and other significant matters. In certain situations, such as medical emergencies or those involving major life decisions, the custodial parent may have to keep the non-custodial parent informed and involved in decision making. So there is that parameter where they do kind of like, they can help make decisions on like those major freaking aspects. But if it kind of becomes one of those things where it's like, it's a freaking mega emergency, a decision has to be made, you don't have to literally like call up your freaking you don't have to call up your partner and literally go like, there's something going on, oh my gosh, it's so stressful, and then kind of sit on the phone with them going back and forth like, oh my gosh, it's the love of my freaking life, I can't believe, I freaking fell in love with him so freaking long ago, and I just need you to be informed, and I want you to be like my other person to talk to about it. And it's like, when you do that, you kind of like welcome them back into having like control over aspects of your life and of the child's life. And if it's an emergency, no one really has time for you to be like dramatic and really just kind of go like, oh my gosh, my ex-partner, oh my gosh, it's so crazy, like our kid just got freaking like hit by a car, like oh my gosh, like should I freaking, like say like keep our kid on life support, or should I say pull the plug, like oh my gosh, you have to get here. Like that's kind of one of those things where it's like you can inform them, you guys can make the decision together, but it's like If it was one of those things where like you have that kind of partner who like really won't answer the phone and you're like kind of stressing yourself out about that when you should be focusing on what's going on with the child, and then a doctor pops up and it's like we have an immediate decision that needs to be made, you can't kind of sit there on the phone calling your ex-partner over and over again waiting for them to make a decision with you. You have to be that person who's actually present. You have to be the custodial parent who has the control over those aspects. So if it's like, you know, your child has to go into surgery right now, you can't kind of just be like, well, you know, we have to wait for the other parent to get here. It's like, well, that can literally either like make or break this freaking child's freaking that can that'll set the parameter for what the heck is required for, oh gosh, I'm like trying to phrase it in a way that I can like literally escape the giggles and explaining it, but you have to literally be mindful in these situations and these moments. You can't literally kind of just focus on, you know, I have to freaking have them involved in this decision. If it's a freaking touch and go decision and you have to make a split decision, you have to freaking follow through. You can't sit there waiting for the other person to answer. You can't sit there waiting for them to give you like insight on something that you have to freaking follow through on. You have to be mindful. You have to be present in certain situations. Okay, so I covered that one. Non-custodial parents are also responsible for providing financial support for their children. This support typically comes in the form of child support payments, which are determined according to statutory guidelines and consider factors such as each parent's income and the child's needs. While non-custodial parents may have less time with their children than custodial parents, they can still play a vital role in their children's lives. They can maintain strong bonds with their children through regular visitation, active involvement in their education and extracurricular activities, and open communication with the custodial kind of, you know, aspects that you don't really understand in your child's life. You know, what's going on with my child? What are their stances on things? How do they feel about me overall? What can I work on literally better our relationship? And then being the parent that's always present and a part of that child's life, you'll have the insight required to really help in situations like that. And you'll also set the freaking guidelines for and what is to be shared with the non-custodial parent and understanding aspects to better the relationship with their child. The freaking like videos that are on there that are taken up storage, I have like 6 gigabytes worth of freaking videos on there, and it's like getting cray. And then whenever I try to back up my videos to my SD card, they freaking just instantly get like corrupted like that. It's always like the freaking the videos and the pictures at times literally just get corrupted. Every freaking other file is freaking fine. The freaking videos and the pictures though, like what's the freaking like literally there's like no freaking way to like ever recover these, and it's like I've tried like trying to recover, like when I did the vlog diary series on my main channel, the freaking like video was corrupted multiple times and the video always totaled to around like 4 hours long. So I'm trying to recover a freaking hour segment and freaking go through the entire spiel of everything that was explained. It was extremely tedious. I think I recorded the final freaking segment of the video like 4 freaking times. So over the span of 4 freaking hours, I had to deal with freaking 3 copies being corrupted, attempting to recover 1 freaking copy that took freaking like hours, and then uploading the video itself was like freaking tedious. It was like so freaking like touch and go, and then the freaking video constantly like glitched during that freaking moment. So it's like I'm gonna have to redo the video. There's an error with the freaking video file for this one, and then it finally was uploaded, and I was like, you know what, I'm leaving it on there. I'm that is the final copy of it. No more freaking edits. I did. If you watch the video, you can see I literally went through like freaking, I think maybe 2 to 3 different freaking outfits, like in doing it, because it's over the span of like two. Let's see. final snippets due to the freaking like glitch freaking flows. And it took me like 4 freaking days to like do the entire process of recording the videos, editing the videos, and then uploading the freaking video. And I was like, oh gosh. And then in the midst of it, I literally ended up doing some community freaking volunteer work with my grams to make some care packages for some of our freaking buddies overseas that required some freaking love and aid. I'm going to do a brief read through of some major aspects that are included, and then I'm going to conclude the video. That way I don't keep you guys here for like over an hour. I'm going to do the breakdown of custody types and kind of provide like the basic gist that will explain what are the rights and the parameters of each. Parental custody rights, and then I live in California, so this will cover like the aspect for parents that are in California. In California include legal custody and physical custody, which can be either sole or joint. Legal custody determines who makes decisions about the child's health, education, and welfare. Physical custody determines who the child lives with most of the time. Sole custody, one parent has sole custody when they have the right and responsibility to make decisions or when the child lives with and is under the supervision of one parent. Joint custody, both parents share the right and responsibility to make decisions or when each parent has significant periods of physical custody. In California, the process of obtaining custody of the child can involve mediation. A neutral third party helps the parent reach an agreement on custody agreements. Custody hearing. If an agreement can't be reached through mediation, hearing where the parents present their arguments. Evidence. The parents will need to provide evidence to support their arguments, such as witness testimony, expert reports, and documentation of their ability to provide for the child's needs. This will assist in determining who will be the custodial parent, who will have that major controlling aspect as they are able to provide for the child and needs overall that the child requires throughout its freaking, but majorly up until the point that they're 18, to provide that child with everything that it may need and live a freaking healthy and awesome life overall in a safe environment. Be did that one, but just in case. Custody hearing. If an agreement can't be reached through mediation, the court will hold a hearing where the parents present their arguments. Evidence. Okay, so we did, custody hearing and evidence. So we're on court orders. Once custody is awarded, the parents must follow the court's orders to maintain custody. Parental rights can be determined by the court. If a parent abuses or neglects their child, a parent can also choose to terminate their parental rights to place their child for adoption. So if you can't live up to the obligations and if you feel as though it's too much for you to handle and you really just are like, I'm horrible at this, I can't do it, and I don't feel like going back and forth with myself or with others over gaining insight and trying to figure out if I can freaking truly handle this aspect, there is always still the up for adoption. That way it's not one of those things where it's like you have to feel like guilty as like a parent who's like, I couldn't do it, or you have to feel guilty like, I can't believe I just gave up on my kid. No, if you can't do it, it's in the best interest of everyone and for that child's freaking needs and their safety for you to literally just kind of make that freaking big step and go, I'm doing this for my child, I'm doing this for my own freaking mental well-being. I have to make sure that I am mentally stable and ready for this, and if I feel as though this is going to be an aspect that's going to kind of like, fall within the parameters of something that I can't handle, I can't expect another literal person who depends on me for everything in life to be kind of affected by that. So in a lot of cases, placing your child up for adoption can save the child from a lot of neglect and abuse throughout their life, and in messy custody battles or messy freaking relationships that are freaking fallen downhill and constantly become a present factor within the child's upbringing, it often takes a toll on the child, both mentally, physically, and socially overall. It kind of shapes who the child becomes later in the future. So a lot of times it's better to kind of take that big step and do something that's better and stands up to the needs and requirements of that child. Important decisions. So this one's going to fall in the parameters of the custodial parent rights and the rights of both parents in a care, religious activities, and then in joint custody freaking cases, religious stances. That's another one that can cause like that kind of like snag point where you kind of have to literally overall, if it causes too much conflict within the relationship or within the child's upbringing, you can present the case to the courts, and in doing so, there can be a guideline set, and in a lot of cases, it's set to kind of be that mediation that's required to ensure that the child isn't caught in the midst of another, like, physical, verbal, abusive situation that will take a mental toll on the child. Because overall, there's the stance of, me against the other parent and how I feel and what I want. But overall, it's not about who has what stance and how you feel or what you want. It's about what's the best, like what's best for the child overall. Psychological or other mental health counseling or therapy needs, doctor, dentist, orthodontist, or other medical care, except in emergency situations where it's typically best for you to consult the other parent. In those freaking split decision moments, you kind of may have to make a split decision, and then you'll honestly, you might be tasked with the other parent going, like, what the freaking heck. But in a lot of cases, it'll literally save your child's life. So if you are the custodial parent and you literally have to make a freaking like tough call that's like, this can either make or break the case, be realistic and remind your partner, I can't call your phone over and over again and freaking deal with you literally having excuses or not being mindful that there may be something taking place. You have to remember, we are not living that life together anymore where it's me and you all the time, or, me and you, hooking up and having flings, and now we have a child together, and now you're like, that's my kid too. Like that's not really what this freaking aspect is covering. This aspect is covering, saving our child's life, and you have to be mindful that if a decision needs to be made, you have to be mentally present, and you have to be ready to pick up the damn phone or be there physically. Sports, summer camp, vacation, or extracurricular activities. So anything, like fun that's like the child overall, something that they want to do, something that you're kind of like, are you sure you don't want to do this? I did summer camp when I was a kid. I did this sport when I was a kid. You sure you don't want to just, go out fun? You want to join a few clubs? You want to do something interesting? And for vacations also, you kind of literally have to work with the other custodial parent, or the freaking so you have to work with your partners within this freaking situation to literally find the best plans and courses of action. Will you be taking a part in our child's life? Will you be at the sports games? Can you drive the kid to practice, or from practice? Can you pick up the kids from the freaking game? Can you like literally can you bring their freaking supplies? These are often the aspects that make it like fun being a parent, but they're also the aspects that are very crucial, because if you freaking can't follow through and you forget to keep like everybody within the loop, it's like you're gonna be made out to be like that freaking like overall bad guy, and you have that bad guy. You orders of keeping everyone informed, such as any type of freaking major trip. And let's see, or event. Let's say like you work within the entertainment industry and your freaking child works within the entertainment industry also, like as a freaking model or an actress. And let's say you have a trip to freaking Milan and your kid wants to go with you, and it's only gonna be like like a brief like weekend trip, but you will want to be mindful of informing the other parent, gaining their decision on that, and seeing if they're going to be comfortable with that. And in non-custodial cases, you can literally just jet set off to Milan with your freaking child, and then just adhere to the rights of the non-custodial parent to be informed. But in the joint custody freaking case, you have to literally kind of work with your partner in that, and literally, find that common ground, see what you both are okay with. If your partner isn't okay with you jetting off to Milan and bringing the child, then it may be kind of one of those cases where it's like, well, I'm going to head out of town for a bit. Should I freaking book a babysitter? I'll drop off our kid at my freaking mom's, aka Nana's. Or do you want me to drop off our kid at your place, and can you cover transportation to and fro school for any events that may arise or may require anything that we've scheduled for? And let's see, just like every aspect of something that I would have been handling, can you do all of that while I'm gone? And then you set the freaking boundaries, you outline everything, and you come to an agreement, because it's something that is essential in ensuring that that child is not neglected and does not feel as though if you jet off to freaking Milan, I should freaking resent you because you left me here, and then you left me with this person who like literally wasn't mindful of anything. Like, no, that's why when you watch a lot of these funny freaking like stories and TV shows, it's like, well, did mom tell you that I have freaking summer? Did mom tell you that I'm supposed to be going out with Becky this weekend? Did mom tell you that I'm on a sports team, so I literally need you to pick me up in practice? Did mom tell you? And then it's like so many freaking aspects, and it's like, if mom didn't freaking tell you, I'm gonna be mad at mom, because mom literally should have been more mindful. That's mom's obligation. And if mom told you and you aren't freaking mindful, then you have to freaking make it a point to be more mindful. Set reminders in your phone, set updates in your calendar, write sticky notes, get a freaking to-do list, get a magnet notebook and stick it onto your freaking fridge, and literally like jot down anything that you may freaking need to remember, and create a freaking scheduled daily freaking plan, so that way if it's like something like, oh my gosh, I did forget about that, you also have to prioritize. Is your other obligation something that's more important than what your child requires? Because if it's work, it's like, am I gonna have to literally call my boss and tell them I'll, or am I gonna have to literally freaking like work everything out? Am I gonna have to be an actual parent? Am I gonna have to sit down and talk with your freaking friend's parents and work on a carpool plan because I have freaking work? Or am I gonna have to literally freaking go, I can't come into work, or I'll be in later, can I switch a shift with someone? It's like you have to literally work through these aspects, and you have to find a plan that not only is conducive for you, but that also makes sense for everybody else involved, and that also shows that you're mindful of let's see, following through on your obligations as a parent. There's a freaking added freaking note section on reasonable freaking custody agreements. So with the schedule, often it helps parents and children to have a set schedule with the dates and times that the children will be with each parent. The schedule can include holidays, special occasions like birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, and other important dates for the family, and vacations. Reasonable. These orders are open-ended. They allow the parents to work it out between themselves. This type of plan can work if parents get along very well, so it's often great for cases where, as stated before, there's no bad blood between you and your partner. These can be flexible, and it's often great to have that great communication standard with your partner. That way you guys are able to literally just make guided plans and know that you guys are going to stick to them, follow through, and keep each other informed on any hiccups that may take place. But if you disagree, not having a set schedule can create problems and conflicts within the relationship. In custody cases, the non-custodial parent is usually responsible for transporting the child to and from the custodial parent's residence. You have no obligation to provide your child to the non-custodial parent, so you don't have to literally go out of your way trying to make transportation plans to get your child to the non-custodial parent. It is the obligation of the non-custodial parent, and even in joint custody cases, it's still not your obligation to literally freaking drive your child or make transportation plans to get your child from your home to the other parent's home. If that is their set date, and that's, or even if you have a freaking reasonable plan where it's like you guys just kind of like made a plan and everything like that, and this is that scheduled freaking day, you're setting the reasonable outline for scheduled events. You're not setting the reasonable outline for transportation requirements. So if the other parent wants to freaking see the child, they have to make it a point to literally to do so. And if they want to remove the child from your home location, you can obligate them to also return the child to you after. That way you don't have to freaking worry yourself trying to figure out, how am I supposed to get this child to you? Or if you come get the child, how am I supposed to you to get the child back? Like, what if I'm literally telling you my car just got freaking totaled, and what if the public freaking transport in the area is like freaking like really backed up? There's for freaking there's like it's been like the midst of a freaking like I would say snowstorm, but let's say you have to get to each other via the train, and the train's freaking down, and then the only freaking alternate route includes no freaking other way to get to you. And then it's like, if you ever check like Google Maps, for a lot of routes, if there's no freaking set way to get to a certain place, they'll literally tell you, from this location, you have to literally take like a Lyft or an Uber, and then after that, you can take a freaking bus, you can take a train, but aside from that, you're gonna have to take like a Lyft or an Uber, where it's like, once you freaking start taking the public transport in your area, you'll get to the freaking final freaking spot, and it's like, well, once you get here, Lyft or an Uber, and it's like, what if I don't have the excess funds for that? What if I literally just freaking spent the last of my funds on household essentials and bills? Like, you can't kind of like expect me to fall into the obligation of, do I have to choose between, a house for me and my child, or getting our child to you, when it's your obligation to follow through also. Transportation in custody cases. Create a transportation plan. Both parents should agree on the transportation details, including the times and locations for pickup and drop-offs. A detailed plan can help if the other parent isn't following the terms. Choose a location. If the court doesn't specify a drop-off location, parents can agree on a central or public place that's equidistant to both homes. Consider the child's best interest. If one parent moves away, the other parent can spend more time with the child to reduce the number of transportation trips. So in doing so, if the other parent moves like a tad freaking farther away, you can literally make it a point to kind of, set guided plans. Like, if one parent lives in one state and the other lives in the other state, you can kind of, set like, break like visitation plans, holiday visitation plans, such as like for breaks, I would include like the major one, like summer vacation, winter break, spring break. Like, those fall within the parameters of the set time frames. And a lot of people have attempted to do like separate school district plans, where it's like when you're here, you'll or stay with me, and then you'll be with mom for like 2 years or like a year, and then you'll be with dad for like the next year. So it's like, then you have to deal with, are you guys ready to literally transfer your child from school to school while moving back and forth, or will you set like a guided plan? And then a lot of people really do. They set like a guided plan that follows throughout a child's entire life. You'll have the kid for like follow your freaking dreams. Do you want to stay with me? Do you want to go back to freaking mom? Do you want to go back to dad? after that, it's like, what do you want to do after that? And it's like, that kind of falls in the parents that have literally like planned out every aspect and literally just want to avoid any freaking conflict amongst each other. Just want to read it one more time. I'm nearly at the hour point. You guys all concluded after this brief snippet, and probably do another one covering this and touch base. It'll probably be like a tad shorter, but luckily we've covered a lot of aspects pertaining towards custody and the rights of custodial and non-custodial parents. Consider the child's best interest. If one parent moves away, the other parent can spend. Okay, so yeah, that one's been covered. Be prepared for tense situations. Drop-offs can sometimes be contentious, so parents can agree on a neutral location if that happens. If there's the aspect of we tend to have a bunch of domestic disputes where it's freaking us yelling back and forth or fighting all the time, and then it gets embarrassing within our freaking home environment. Finding a freaking common ground place that's kind of like equidistant from both freaking parties often helps with avoiding that conflict, especially within your home environments. It can be both stressful and embarrassing. Both parents must follow the court order, including the transportation details. A parent who regularly misses visitation can be held in contempt of court. So regularly missing your scheduled visitations dates being held in contempt of court. So also be mindful of that aspect that I must touch base upon before concluding this. So bear with me as I pull it up, guys. Oh, my freaking feet are falling asleep. Oh, yeah, this is one of my favorite aspects. You have to be mindful of this. Attempting to make a change within your agreement, or whenever you're actually like thinking towards it and planning, you must be mindful of this. So, how to get or change a custody and parenting time order. File papers with the court to ask for an order. There are different types of cases and papers you can file to ask for a child custody and visitation parenting time order. Which type of cases or papers you can file depends on your situation, so it will be specific to your situation and what you are looking to file for. Like whether you and the other parent are married or you already filed a family law case. So if you are adding on to the existing case, you still must file accordingly, but you must also check and find what aspects are actually already covered within your case. So you may not have to actually file any additional papers for a certain case if it's already covered within the parameters, but it's still always great to do your research and be mindful before walking into any situations where you're going to be held to a legal obligation. So let's see. You also have to be mindful of how the aspects should be covered, and in doing so, I don't mean like, should I be freaking worried about doing this? No, honestly, you should be more mindful of what aspects must I cover in this, so that way you set the guidelines and there is the legal, we already said what's supposed to be taking place, follow through, the agreement has already been set, and this is a legal obligation. This isn't a freaking fun, freaking friendly freaking agreement where you guys get to kind of like have like spats all the time. This is the legal stance that we are taking, and if there are any freaking hiccups, we will handle it. So much. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to our DKHLegalAid YouTube account. Make sure you follow us on social media. You can find us on X, DKHLegalAid. You can find us on Instagram, DKHLegalAid also, and you can find us on our YouTube account, as well as checking out our website to book any legal consultation. That way you can booking a legal consultation or an educational consultation. That way you can gain some insight on any type of legal aspect or parameter that you may need assistance in. And you can also freaking drop an email, and I'll give you guys, like any you can drop an email with any ideas, and I'll literally just make a video covering the topic. That way you gain some insight pertaining towards it, as well as educational insights for my English learners out there that are looking to enhance their proficiency and literacy, and any other aspects pertaining towards their language, such as actually learning to speak the English language. And you can also utilize provided and check out a bunch of our behind the scenes footage and pictures, as well as a bunch of our documents for the videos and features. You can find our videos on our Twitter, which I say our X account, and our pictures for the behind the scenes section can be found on our DKHLegalAid site. Love you guys, and I'll talk to you later.